Hello once again, Michael G. Nastis here for WDEE TV Headline News, coming to you from our studios in Ypsilanti, Michigan. We give you our top 5 stories of the day on our cast. And the number 1 story comes from the Milan News leader and writer Erica McLean. A 28-year-old Milan woman will head to trial for allegedly keeping 15 dogs in unsanitary conditions. Robin Nix is accused of keeping the dogs in deplorable conditions, according to an MLive report, at her home in the 100 block of Hurd Street, where she claimed to be running a rescue shelter. They were living in urine and feces, Matt Shaker of the Humane Society of Huron Valley told MLive. Their fur was matted and caked with stuff. HSHV investigators executed a search warrant at Nix's home, and Shaker told MLive 3 of the dogs were in a cage made for 1. They were unable to stand. HSHV took all 15 of those dogs. Nix is charged with 2 counts of animal cruelty. Both of them are felonies. More on this story can be found in our local news feeds link on our website at WDEETV.com. Coming up next, the story of a homeless camp in Ann Arbor under scrutiny.
At Morgan Taylor, buy 2 suits, get a 3rd suit free. Morgan Taylor is located at 133 West Michigan Avenue in Ypsilanti. Clothing and accessories for men, women, and children at Morgan Taylor. Open Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Call 734-221-0296. Ask about layaways and in-store financing. At Morgan Taylor, buy 2 suits, get a 3rd suit free.
Welcome back to WDEE TV Headline News, coming to you in our studios here in Ypsilanti, Michigan, for this Thursday, November 20th, 2014. Our top 5 stories on the roll today. Here's our number 2 story coming from MLive.com and writer Ryan Stanton. A homeless encampment along US 23 in Ann Arbor's southeast side is under scrutiny from the city following complaints by neighbors. About a dozen tents that make up Camp Serenity, as the people who are camping there call it, can be found along the nature trails that wind through the woods at the end of Burton Road at a dead-end dirt drive off Packard Road. Neighbors who live in the Forest Brook subdivision, which backs up to the woods, say the camp has grown in size, starting with only 2 or 3 tents last summer. Now it's a full-blown community with tarp-covered areas where the homeless store their belongings, fire pits, bicycles chained to trees, and a portable toilet that they pulled some strings to get delivered. After hearing about the camp from neighbors, City Council member Stephen Kunzelman, Democrat from the 3rd Ward, is asking the city's administration to crack down. He says the Forest Brook neighborhood should not have to be tolerating homeless people in their backyard. Kunzelman said this at Monday night's council meeting. In recent days, city police have gone out to confirm the reports of people illegally camping. It's expected the campers will have to move on. Kunzelman continued, I expect that it will not be lasting through the winter, and I expect the private property owner is going to have to go through the motions of putting up no trespassing signs. And Kunzelman continued, that's unfortunate because neighbors have been using that property kind of as a park, using trails through there. More on this story can be found in our local news feeds link on our website at WDEETV.com. Coming up next, story number 3, public comments are being sought on the proposed ET rover pipeline project. Welcome back to WDEE TV Headline News, coming to you from our studios here in Ypsilanti, Michigan. We're sharing Michigan with the world every single day. Our next headline news story comes from the Chelsea Standard and writer Jim Pruitt. Federal officials will host a meeting on a proposed natural gas pipeline that would run through western Washtenaw County. The meeting begins at 6 p.m. Thursday at the George Prizing Auditorium at the Washington Street Education Center in Chelsea. The focus of the meeting will be on the E.T. Rover pipeline project that proposes laying pipe from western Pennsylvania and West Virginia through Ohio and Michigan before crossing into Canada and around Port Huron. The event is called a scoping meeting, as officials from the Federal Energy Regulation and Regulatory Commission will be receiving comments and concerns from people potentially affected by the pipeline and from the public in general. FERC is having the scoping meetings in these communities in the pipeline's path. The agency will be in Adrian December 1st before making several stops in Ohio. According to the FERC website, E.T. Rover plans to use about 621 miles of operational right-of-way pipeline to construct and operate about 820 miles of interstate natural gas transmission pipelines and associated facilities in Michigan, Ohio, Pennsylvania, and West Virginia. This project would originate near Cadiz in Harrison County, Ohio, would extend about 210 miles west to an interconnection with the Midwest Hub, and then head northeast for about 209 miles to the Canadian-U.S. border. The remaining 199 miles would be associated with 8 supply laterals to service areas in Ohio, Pennsylvania, and West Virginia. Construction of this planned project and the facilities would disturb about 12,147 acres of land. The typical construction right-of-way to pipeline facilities would vary between 125 and 150 feet wide in uplands and 75 to 95 feet wide in wetlands, with additional workspace needed in some locations due to site-specific conditions and activities. More on this story can be found on our local news feeds link on our website, WDEETV.com. And coming up next, a story about Chelsea looking for citizens to sit on city boards.
At Morgan Taylor, buy 2 suits, get a 3rd suit free. Morgan Taylor is located at 133 West Michigan Avenue in Ypsilanti. Clothing and accessories for men, women, and children at Morgan Taylor. Open Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Call 734-221-0296. Ask about layaways and in-store financing. At Morgan Taylor, buy 2 suits, get a 3rd suit free.
Welcome back to WDEE TV Headline News, sharing Michigan with the world, coming to you from our studios in Ypsilanti, Michigan, and my thanks to my buddy Tony D producing the cast today. Our next headline news story comes from the ChelseaUpdate.com and Lisa Allmendinger. The City of Chelsea has openings on 2 boards and is looking for interested residents to be on those boards. There are 2 openings on the Downtown Development Authority Board and 3 vacancies on the Planning Commission. The Downtown Development Authority Board members require 2 vacancies to be filled. One term expires December 12th of 2016 and the other term expires December 31st, 2017. A board member must be a City of Chelsea resident or own or operate a business in the DDA district. There is information about the DDA on the city's website. Click on DDA meetings. They're held 3rd Thursdays of every month at 7:30 a.m. at the City Council chambers. If you have a specific question, it can be directed to Mayor Jason Lindauer at jlindauer@city-chelsea.org or call 475-1771 extension 212. The Planning Commission Board members require 3 vacancies to be filled. 2 terms will expire June of 2016 and 1 term expires June of 2017. Board members must be a City of Chelsea resident. Once again, there is information about the Planning Commission on planning and zoning. Specific questions online can be directed to Christine Lindfeld at CLINFELD@city-chelsea.org or call 475-1771. The extension is 210. More on this story can be found in our local news feeds link on our website at WDEETV.com. Coming up next, story number 5 in headline news today. A family receives a bill for $1 million for a single baby delivery. Welcome back to WDEE TV Headline News, coming to you from our studios in Ypsilanti, Michigan. Thanks to our advertisers, Morgan Taylor and Visit Ipsy, among others. Our next headline news story, number 5 today, comes from Credit.com and writer Christine DeGangi. Vacation can be expensive, so is having a baby. Therefore, having a baby while on vacation is unlikely to be a cheap adventure. A Canadian couple can tell you all about that. Jennifer Huculak and her husband were vacationing in Hawaii in October of 2013 when she suddenly went into labor, CTV News reports. She was 6 months pregnant at the time, spent 6 weeks on bed rest in a Hawaiian hospital, and had her daughter 9 weeks early. After her baby spent 2 months in intensive care, Huculak and her husband were happy to take care of their healthy daughter and take her home, but they weren't so happy about the $950,000 medical bill, and they were especially unhappy that their insurance provider refused to cover the costs. This dispute centers around whether Huculak had a pre-existing condition that would exclude her from early labor costs from coverage. She bought a Blue Cross travel policy before going on vacation, but a letter from the Blues quoted by CTV News states Ms. Huculak was diagnosed and treated for a high-risk pregnancy in the 6 months prior to her departure. As Ms. Huculak is currently hospitalized and being treated for this high-risk pregnancy, any expense incurred not eligible under the terms of your policy. Huculak says her doctor cleared her to travel, and she denies that she had a high-risk pregnancy. Huculak has a bladder infection, but her doctor in Saskatchewan wrote the Blues, saying that it did not cause early labor, CTV News reported. Facing the nearly $1 million bill, Huculak and her husband aren't thrilled about their choices, which she says are continuing dispute with the Blue Cross company despite declaring bankruptcy possibly, or waiting and seeing what happens, according to CTV News. Those are the choices, possibilities. More on this story can be found on our local news feeds link on our website at WDEETV.com. Coming up next, our WDEE TV music and sports report.
At Morgan Taylor, buy 2 suits, get a 3rd suit free. Morgan Taylor is located at 133 West Michigan Avenue in Ypsilanti. Clothing and accessories for men, women, and children at Morgan Taylor. Open Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Call 734-221-0296. Ask about layaways and in-store financing. At Morgan Taylor, buy 2 suits, get a 3rd suit free.
Welcome back to our final segment for today here on WDEE TV Headline News. We come to you from our studios in Ypsilanti, Michigan, at your fingertips, sharing Michigan with the world. We have our regular Thursday WDEE TV headline music and entertainment news report. Well, this could be called a sports or entertainment item, but it is a contest and it can be compelling even though the host is pretty repulsive. The 14th season of Celebrity Apprentice debuts in January on NBC, and as usual, the 16 wannabe moguls are star-studded. Actors and actresses are the primary figures, as well as comedians, sports figures, pop musicians. There are miscellaneous names like Geraldo Rivera, Kate Gosselin, and even Gilbert Gottfried in the cast. But one name sticks out for local fans. Former Detroit Tigers outfielder Johnny Damon will be on the series. No doubt his boyish charm and long hair will appeal to viewers more than his business acumen. We'll have to see about that, because you never know what the lefty spray hitter will come up with as he will attempt to raise money for charities while avoiding being fired. Local jazz listeners face a pleasant dilemma Saturday night as they have to choose between two world-class talents performing on the same evening in Ann Arbor. Some of you might be willing or able to do both. Jackie Ryan is one of the best swinging jazz vocalists on the scene and is informed by the great company she keeps on her recordings and live shows. Over the years, she's worked with such notables as pianists Barry Harris, Larry Vukovich, Shelley Berg, Cyrus Chestnut, Benny Green, and others like John Hendricks, Clark Terry, Toots Thielmans, Terry Gibbs, saxophonist Ernie Watts, or Eric Alexander, and drummer Jeff Hamilton. Her last three CDs, You and the Night and the Music, Doozy, and her latest release, Listen Here, have all been critically acclaimed and topped radio airplay charts at number 1. Ryan returns to the Carytown Concert House at 415 North 4th Avenue. She played there to enthusiastic audiences 3 years ago. She comes in from her home of San Francisco, teamed with U of M's Ellen Rowe on piano, bassist Paul Keller, and drummer Pete Sears. Shows Saturday night are 7 and 9 p.m., part of the Carytown Club Series, co-sponsored by SEMJA, the Southeastern Michigan Jazz Association. Here is a little sample from that CD. Listen here.
Come on home, you know I'm waiting here for you. You've been gone, you don't know what I'm going through. Since you went away.
When Jerry Allen left the U of M to be the jazz chair at the University of Pittsburgh over the spring and summer, the school scooped up Benny Green to take over, a talented pianist whose credits range from working with Art Blakey and the Jazz Messengers to recording his own works for Blue Note Records and teaching in workshop settings. Green makes his first public appearance, this time as an actual locally based musician, since performing many years ago in this area in Toledo and at the Bird of Paradise. At 7 p.m. Saturday evening at the University of Michigan Museum of Art on State Street, just before heading to Denver to play with his working trio. Benny Green was born in New York City and, like Jackie Ryan, grew up in Northern California, specifically Berkeley. Green was discovered by Faye Carroll and worked prominently with Betty Carter, Bobby Watson, Ray Brown, Etta Jones and Houston Person, Freddie Hubbard, Lou Tabakin, Diana Krall, and our own Randy Napoleon. Green recently appeared in New York City at the Jazz Standard, Birdland, and Lincoln Center. He recorded live for an upcoming CD at his all-time favorite place, the Kuumba Jazz Center in Santa Cruz, California, on July 14th. And here's a bit of Benny Green accompanying the great singer Etta Jones on this album.
I wonder why I'm not myself of late. I'm feeling strangely great.
By the way, we also want to remind you that tonight Mark Kirshenman leads his University of Michigan student-based Creative Arts Orchestra for their bi-semester concert at the Stamps Auditorium on North Campus in the area near the School of Music. In WDEE TV headline sports, ex-EMU pitcher and Rookie of the Year runner-up Matt Shoemaker made his second start in the Japan vs. U.S. All-Star Series at the Sapporo Dome for the fifth and final official game of the Japan Series early Tuesday morning our time. He faced 20-year-old pitching sensation Shuhei Ohtani, perhaps the most promising player on Japan's national team, who sports a 100-mile-per-hour fastball and doubles as an outfielder for the pro team, the Nippon Ham Fighters. Shoemaker gave up 2 runs over 5 innings in Game 1 loss, shut out the Japanese team the other day en route to a 3-1 win for him and the U.S. club. Over 5 scoreless innings, Shoemaker struck out 2, allowed only 2 hits, and yielded no walks. A 12-hit attack for the MLB squad was their best output of the series after young Ohtani struck out the side in the first inning. Final score over those 7 games was U.S. 2 wins, Japan with 5. Samurai Japan had already clinched their first victory in the Japan series when Shoemaker pitched since 1990, securing their place as the best baseball nation in the world following 2 championships and a semifinalist status in 3 World Baseball Classics. Meanwhile, Japan and the U.S. are making strong statements to have baseball reinstated as a medal sport for future editions of the Summer Olympic Games. The University of Michigan and MLB Hall of Fame baseball player Barry Larkin was the 10th of the 10 candidates interviewed to be the next manager of the Tampa Bay Rays. One of them, perhaps Larkin, will be taking over for Joe Maddon, who exercised an opt-out clause in his contract, then became the new field boss of the Chicago Cubs. Larkin has been seen as an analyst and commentator of the MLB TV network and ESPN, and he coached the Brazilian team in the World Baseball Classic. Also, here's another local connection on the national sports media scene. Ex-Mets GM and ESPN analyst Steve Phillips, U of M graduate, is now up early, 7 to 10 a.m. on the MLB Network radio station doing the leadoff spot show. Phillips' primary partner is Todd Hollinsworth. Ex-Tiger C.J. Nitkowski has also been heard lately on that network. Phillips attended De La Salle High School in Detroit and earned a psychology degree from the University of Michigan during baseball's off-season. He never played baseball for the U of M, but who was drafted by the Mets and played in their minor league system as well as lower-level Tigers farm teams for a total of 6 campaigns. Phillips was embroiled in separate alleged sex scandals while with the Mets and ESPN, was a color commentator for the Tampa Bay Rays and LA Angels, and worked for TSN TV, SiriusXM Radio, and WFAN Radio in New York City. And that is WDEE TV headline news for this Thursday, November 20th, 2014. I am Michael G. Nastis reporting. I'll see you tomorrow. So long, everybody.